little left. Creamed eels? Corn dog?
Instead of getting better, shortages of some products have only gotten worse. So stock up on these 10 items that will soon be impossible to find at grocery stores. Snack foods.
We have no snacks. We can't have a party without snacks.
You're right.
No one is going to starve to death if they don't get their bag of Cheetos or Funyuns, but people have noticed that some of these snack foods are in short supply. One survey found that the availability of snack foods is down an alarming 16% since the shutdowns disrupted global supply chains. This depressing statistic points out why snack foods may soon be hard to find at grocery stores. The price of corn has risen significantly over the last 2 years, and many of your favorite salty snacks are made from corn. Corn crops are under additional pressure because a big percentage of it is used to make ethanol for gasoline instead of for food production. Halloween always creates a big demand for candy of all kinds, and unfortunately, all the little ghosts and goblins scouring the neighborhood for their favorite treats might have been left disappointed this year because a chocolate shortage persists.
Knock knock, what's gone? Your candy.
This could impact the Christmas holiday as well. Candy companies have cut back on the production of some products to focus on the best sellers because of the steep increase in the price of ingredients like milk and sugar. Companies will do their best to ramp up production for Christmas, but you'll have to wait and see. We could probably all benefit from cutting back on the snacks a bit, but it should be a personal choice and not one imposed by disruptions and shortages. Tylenol.
Once I asked someone for a Tylenol, and they gave me a Tylenol PM.
On top of all the other shortages caused by global shutdowns, now Johnson & Johnson has informed its customers they could expect difficulty finding Tylenol at their local drugstore. This warning includes several products, including children's Tylenol. In normal times, a product like Tylenol would be taken for granted, but as we keep getting reminded, these are not normal times. In these times, Tylenol could become one of the items that will soon be impossible to find at grocery stores. If you can't find this pain reliever in your area, you'll have to research other brands or store brand options. You can get advice from your doctor or pharmacist about which medications would be best for you.
Let's take a look at your physical results. Ah!
According to the Canadian Pharmacists Association, the Tylenol shortage is largely the result of increased demand since the start of the pandemic. Fear of the virus in particular, but also of illness in general, has prompted too many people to stock up on medications like Tylenol. If someone has a case of Tylenol in their closet, it makes it more likely that you'll have trouble finding a bottle of the medicine at your local store. Availability has become a little hit or miss, with some customers finding all the Tylenol they need, while others find only empty shelves. Some people have turned to compounding pharmacies that can make acetaminophen-based medicines to order. Paper goods.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's already happening, people. Hoard your toilet paper.
You probably remember the run on paper goods like toilet paper, napkins, and paper towels when the first lockdown started in early 2020. A relatively small number of people hoarded closets full of these goods only to realize they'd made a mistake. Everyone had hoped those times were in the rearview mirror for good, but paper goods just might become more difficult to find at grocery stores. The main cause of the paper shortage is due to paper mills operating below capacity because of an ongoing worker shortage. There's a reduced amount of paper pulp being produced for everything from notebook paper to napkins and paper plates. Companies have shifted production to meet the most pressing needs, like toilet paper. However, this isn't a perfect system, so you have to expect shortages of various paper goods at grocery stores. Even though businesses have gone a long way toward going paperless, the truth is they still use a lot of paper. If anything, the shortage has prompted businesses to redouble their efforts to go paperless, and if the paper shortage goes on much longer, it might not be a matter of choice. New to our channel? Then take a quick second to hit that subscribe button. You're the best. Thanks. Coffee.
Large black coffee.
A what?
Large black coffee.
Do you mean a venti?
You really shouldn't mess with people's morning cup of coffee, but that is what seems to be happening with the ongoing supply chain issues. The shutdowns over the last couple of years caused an uptick in the demand for coffee as people stuck at home looked for a pick-me-up. Labor and transportation shortages in the midst of an increased demand resulted in rising prices and shortages. Brazil produces about 40% of the world's Arabica beans, but the South American country experienced unusually cold weather in the summer of 2021 that caused a significant decrease in the coffee bean harvests. Fewer coffee beans means higher prices for that cup of morning coffee. Coffee companies have tried to adjust by replacing some of the Arabica beans with Robusta beans. The Robusta beans are cheaper, but are considered by many growers and coffee drinkers to be of lower quality than Arabica beans.
Wait, this tastes different.
Vietnam is the second largest coffee producer after Brazil, and about 97% of its crops consist of Robusta beans. With an increasing demand for these cheaper beans, Vietnam's supply has been dwindling. All of this adds up to higher prices and shortages. So if you need your morning cup of joe to get your day started, you might just want to stock up. Sugar. Although sugar technically isn't a necessity, try telling that to all the people with a sweet tooth out there. Many people do consider this sweet crop to simply be a part of life. Analysts have predicted that the price of sugar, both from sugar beets and sugar cane, will continue to rise into 2023. The price of refined cane sugar, which makes up 70% of the sugar market, has risen about 24% over the last year. Sugar supplies have been under pressure for a couple of years now, and there doesn't seem to be a way to solve increasingly tight sugar supplies in the short term. With the holiday season fast approaching, both commercial and home baking ramp up, with everything from pumpkin pies to gingerbread men filling shelves and countertops. All of this baking requires a tremendous amount of sugar.
Yeah, that's a sugar rush.
Demand for sugar is increasing worldwide, and not just to make pies and cookies. India, for example, is using a lot of its sugar crop to produce ethanol so it can reduce its dependence on oil. All of these factors indicate that sugar could be one of the items that will soon be impossible to find at grocery stores. The demand for sugar is only going to keep rising, so supplies will have to increase or the shortage will continue. Wheat.
I actually don't eat bread.
There are only two bigger food staples than wheat: corn and soybeans. These three crops make up a huge percentage of the food people rely on the world over. Until recently, many people have been able to take these foods for granted, but that might be changing. Global wheat production has been hit hard by the war between Russia and Ukraine, two of the world's big producers. In fact, Russia is the #1 exporter of wheat, with the United States and Canada pretty much tied for second. Almost half of Ukraine's wheat crop might go to waste because of the transportation nightmare caused by Russia's blockade of Black Sea ports. Trucks and trains can only handle a fraction of the wheat crop that is normally loaded on ships. In response to this and other uncertainties in world markets, the price of wheat rose 40% between February and April 2022.
For now, it's just too expensive.
Wheat prices have also increased, partly because the price of fertilizers has increased significantly. Wheat is a crucial part of the world's food supply, so you might be hard-pressed to imagine your diet without any. But unfortunately, this could be a real possibility going forward. Champagne.
Waiter, champagne?
Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous was a television show in the 1980s and 1990s hosted by Robin Leach, and his catchphrase was, "Champagne wishes and caviar dreams." Even if you wish you had some champagne right now, you're not going to die without a glass of bubbly. However, if you want to make sure you have a few bottles on hand for the holidays, you should stock up now, because champagne is one of the 10 items that will soon be impossible to find. Supply chain issues have conspired to affect shipments over the last couple years. Add to that, the grapes in the Champagne region of France suffered catastrophic frost damage in the spring of 21 that caused a 60% drop in their yield. This wipeout caused a spike in the price of the coveted sparkling wine, and this niche industry has yet to recover. In July 2022, a site called ChampagneClub.com noted that a number of factors had indeed created a champagne shortage. Even worse than this, however, was the site's estimation that the shortage could last several more years.
Too long! Too long!
Even if the vineyards have good crop yields in 2023, they will still be playing catch-up, and the supply chain issues could continue to make it harder and more expensive to get champagne from France to your glass. Of course, there are a lot of sparkling wines that are marketed as champagne, but if you want the real thing, expect it to be expensive and in short supply when you're planning your New Year's Eve party. Baby formula.
Mommy, I want some milk.
Oh, sure, Angel. Come here.
If you go by the coverage in the media, or lack thereof, you might believe that the baby formula shortage is over, but unfortunately it isn't. The supply of baby formula, like many other products, was hit by the supply chain issues caused by shutdowns. The shortage became acute when Abbott Laboratories, the biggest baby formula manufacturer in the United States, had to shut down its Michigan plant for several months in 2021. Abbott was linked to the deaths of 2 infants who had consumed formula. The government's investigation failed to prove Abbott's product was responsible for the deaths. As the plant remained shuttered, specialty formulas for children with digestive problems were particularly hard to come by. The Abbott plant eventually reopened, but the shortage remained. The shortages have been persistent and wide-ranging because that one plant was producing about 35% of the baby formula sold in the U.S. Abbott and 3 other companies produce 90% of formula sold in the U.S., so all of them have to ramp up their production if the shortage is going to be permanently solved. If these companies don't step up production and maintain it, then baby formula could continue to be hard to find at grocery stores. Potatoes.
No potatoes.
No, potatoes.
Potatoes.
Potatoes are a basic staple like wheat and corn, and these 3 crops account for a big percentage of the world's food supply. A shortage of potatoes in Ireland caused famine and mass emigration to the United States in the middle of the 19th century. When restaurants and hotels were forced to shut down in 2022, the demand for potatoes fell dramatically. Farmers who provide the potato seeds to potato growers were particularly hard hit. The reduction in demand led to potato farmers giving away their crops and even burying as much as 1.5 billion pounds of the useless crop.
What a waste.
Eventually, the businesses that didn't close down for good reopened, and the demand for potatoes returned with a vengeance. There haven't been any reported shortages of McDonald's or any other fast food French fries yet. However, there have been reported shortages of potato chips in some areas, so potatoes could be the next impossible item to find at grocery stores. You can survive without potato chips, but as the Irish potato famine showed, a real shortage of potatoes would be bad for everyone. A real shortage would contribute to the already high food prices at a time when people are paying more for just about everything. Chickpeas.
Chickpea!
Weather and war have impacted the recent chickpea crops in America and Europe, respectively. The world supply of this crop could fall as much as 20%, according to some estimates. If you love hummus, this could be a problem. Chickpeas are a staple crop that is high in protein and is a popular ingredient in many dishes, such as falafel. However, this versatile legume is one more victim of supply chain issues due to Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Most people probably didn't know that Russia was producing about 25% of the world's chickpea crops before the start of the war in February 2022. Ukraine was also growing a significant amount of chickpeas for export.
And chickpeas.
Both sources have been severely disrupted by the ongoing hostilities, and with no end to the fighting in sight, you have to expect the chickpea shortage to get worse. If you find yourself in a jam, there are a number of websites that have put out suggestions for substituting other ingredients for chickpeas in your favorite recipes. One falafel recipe suggests using edamame or black beans. These options sound pretty good and might be worth a try even if you can find chickpeas at your local grocery store. Stick around, leave us a comment, hit that subscribe button, and tap or click on another great video.